Hello, hi, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm Bryan Stafford, intuitive reader from Stafford Tarot, and tonight we're just going to talk a little bit about what's new. We're going to talk about some of the upcoming events for Stafford Tarot, and then we're going to get into some discussion. The tarot topic tonight is differences in tarot decks. Now, I have a lineup of decks here ready to go to talk about some of the differences between those decks, so I'm looking forward to that. But first of all, I just want to welcome everyone back. I hope everyone had a terrific holiday. Everything's getting back into the regular swing of things, including here at Stafford Tarot. We have a lot of different interactions and events happening. Check out the website for most of the upcoming details. I need to just put a shout out. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me and submitting Google reviews. I really appreciate the feedback and support there. 2023 is looking very exciting with some special opportunities coming, like I said, so just keep watch on my website, www.staffordtarot.com, or I will be announcing some of it on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/bryantarotreading. This is being recorded on Facebook as a live. However, I will be saving it later and posting it to my website. So if you're watching from my website, the interaction would have happened during the live recording. And so I just want to put a shout out that anyone who's interested to receive a tarot reading tonight, I am doing free short readings towards after the discussion. And so just write interested in the chat and hopefully I'll see you come up. I'm going to be watching carefully and I'll write your name on a list here. I'm going to go in the order of the names appear. That's the order of the list, and that's the order I'm going to be going by to give the readings tonight. If I miss anyone, I just want to mention that the messages are sometimes delayed coming up, or if I miss it because there's a lot happening during these broadcasts, I always go back and review the messages after. So if I do miss anyone, I do apologize. I will get back to you and offer you that short free reading opportunity. Also, feel free to reach out to me if I don't get to you, if I don't add you to the list because I've missed your name or that you've shown interest. Please reach out to me. I can be reached through my website at staffordtarot.com. I can also be emailed at bryantarotreading@gmail.com, or I can be reached through my Facebook page, the Bryan Tarot Reading. So some of the upcoming events that we have coming up are really exciting. First of all, I just want to talk about, I've been doing new moons and full moon card pulls. I've been offering it on my website and offering it on Facebook, and they seem to be enjoyed. I've been getting some really great feedback about them, and so I'm going to be continuing those moving forward. Excuse me. So the next new moon card pull is going to be for the new moon on Saturday, January 21st. Just watch a little bit ahead of time for that to come out. I'm going to be doing another free draw next week on Monday, January 23rd. So check that out. All you have to do to get involved in the free draw is to comment, share, or like on any social media for Stafford Tarot that mentions the draw. Or you can reach out to me through my website or email that I mentioned previously and just request a free reading and you're automatically included in the draw. I do offer a 1 in 5 chance to win. So what that means is if I get more than 5 people, I draw 2 names. If I get more than 10 people, I draw 3 names. If I get more than 15 people, I draw 4 names. And the reason why I do that is to keep the ratio within 1 to 5. So you have a 1 in 5 chance of receiving a free short remote reading from me. So your chances are high to receive it. I do get anywhere from 15 to 30 people participating in the draw at a time. The numbers vary depending on where I've mentioned it online or in social media or online communities. So just don't give up. If you try again, if you keep trying, that's okay. I don't mind anyone repetitively getting involved in the draw. It just increases your chances of winning, and I'm happy to give out those free short readings to all the winners. And then I'm very excited to be offering a self-tarot group workshop that's going to be over a Zoom meeting, and it's going to be held on Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. It's going to start about 7:30. It's going to run for about 90 minutes. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping that I can get enough people in the group. I'm hoping for at least 4 people, but I will run it either way. Very excited about that. We're going to go through how to do self-readings. We're going to talk about intuitiveness and objectiveness, and then some receiving the messages. And during that portion of the workshop, I'm also going to have an activity that will be taught for all of the participants to learn, and the activity helps you create your own associations to do self-readings. So if you're one of those people who have trouble memorizing each card's meaning from like the book or the author's perspective, this is the workshop for you. It's really about getting past that, no longer relying on the book, and doing your own self-intuitive readings using a tarot structured deck. Please be advised that the workshop will not work with an oracle deck. If you don't know the difference between a tarot deck and an oracle deck, please reach out to me either through my website or through my email or through Facebook, and I will be happy to help understand or let you know if the deck that you have can be used for the workshop. You do need your own deck during the workshop because it is a remote workshop, and I think hands-on is always the best way to learn. So look forward to that. The details will be on my website, staffordtarot.com. And then I'll be doing a full moon card pull towards Sunday, February 5th for the full moon. So watch for that as that approaches. I'm also going to be doing my next live event on Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. And it's a special live event where I'm going to be doing love readings given the day, and I'm also going to be offering couple conjoint readings. That is going to be the tarot topic for that day as well, is conjoint readings, and that is going to include some mediumship with the decks. And then I'll be offering, as usual, some free short tarot readings during that time as well. So stay tuned. If you've missed this live broadcast and you're watching from my website or watching from my posted recording, please feel free to join me for the next broadcast on February 14th. It's going to start around 8 o'clock p.m. and that's Eastern Standard Time Zone. And then looking later into the month, I'm excited to be back into the markets and festivals. I'm going to be attending the Mystic Night Market, which is hosted by Luna Events Canada on February 24th. It runs 6 to 10 p.m. It's going to be at the Victoria Park Golf East in Guelph, Ontario. So check it out. All the details are on my website, staffordtarot.com. You can go down to the public upcoming events and then just click on event details. You'll get all the information you need. It is going to be a sip and shop event, and there are also going to be swag bags. There's over 40 other amazing vendors there. So just check it out, and just keep watch for the Stafford Tarot table while you're there. I am going to be there offering free one-card impression pulls to passerbyers when I'm not in session in private readings. And of course, I'll be offering those private readings to anyone who signs up. I do recommend that if you're coming to the festival to meet with me or see me, reach out to me if you want to designate a time. If you know what time you're going to be there and you want to book with me ahead of time, I don't mind doing that, but show up at the time or you may miss your spot. I get kind of busy at the festivals. I usually do readings back to back. I have a sign-up sheet on my table, and I'd be happy to slip you in when you have interest, or if you want to pre-book ahead of time. Hi Jay, thank you for your message. It lets me know that the messages are showing up. I really would appreciate that. I also appreciate, I'm going to be doing readings, some tarot readings, free short readings in a moment. I'm just going to go through a little bit of a talk about the tarot topic tonight, which is the differences in tarot decks. So keep your question in mind. I will write you on the list, and you'll be first to receive the reading, and I will get to your question at that time. If there are any questions about tarot at all, please feel free to add it in the chat. And if anyone else is watching and you're interested to receive a free reading tonight, just write interested or let me know in the chat, and I will add your name to the list, and your reading will be after Jay. So tonight's tarot topic is about the differences in tarot decks. And I did put out some specific tarot decks. The three up here are very similar to each other, and I just want to show how similar decks can be different and be the same, similar to each other. And then I have some different decks that give a very different perspective on the meanings. Of course, I'm not going to go through every single card in each deck. I mean, that's going to take way too long. So I'm just going to feature 2 or 3 of the decks. We'll talk about the differences between them. Hi, Tara. Thanks for your message. Hi, Sheila. Thanks for joining. Tara, I'll write you next on the list because you wrote interested in the chat. Anyone else who's interested, just please write interested as Tara did and Jay, and I will add you to the list. So in tonight's tarot topic, I'm just going to show you first, I'm going to start with the Tower card. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's the most common and widely used tarot deck. Hi, Sheila. I just added you to the list too. Thank you. And anyone else, just let me know. So this is the most commonly used tarot deck, and it's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And as you can see here, this is the Tower card. And the Tower card really is about like a destructive change. And you can really see that from the imagery. You know, this tower is being struck by lightning. It would be sort of something unexpected perhaps, and the people are literally falling from the tower. When I look at a different deck, for example, the Morgan Greer deck, you can see the same symbolisms, almost the same picture, but different artwork. One's a little more modern, shaded. This one's the older Smith drawings, but similar to each other. They both have the tower, they both have the lightning, they both have the smoke and the weather, they both have the people falling, and they both have the rough waters. Similar to this deck, this is my children's deck that I use for children, and the messages are a little more subtle. And you can see here, it's showing the same imagery, the lightning, the weather, the tower, the crumbling, but there's a little less gore. The people are not necessarily as visibly falling. It has more of like a crown and a hat that's falling. So it gives you the same impression, but a little bit calmer in its message. Again, similar, right? The tower, the lightning, the destruction, and it does have, you can see the little shadows of people falling off the edge. There is rough waters and rough seas. The tower looks more like a lighthouse, but still very similar in its imagery. Now this one's a little different. In this deck, they call it the Thunderbolt, and it represents very similar to the tower. This is the Zen deck, and it really represents this. You can see the lightning, you can see the weather, but the tower is a person, and what's on fire are all the energy centers of the person. The 7 chakras are on fire. And if you notice very carefully, you can still see the people falling, just to give that, that feeling of the card itself. Now, this is very different tarot deck. This is still the Tower card, but it represents the tower as more of a maze, making choices, having destruction. You can see the lightning, you can see the weather. The person may not be falling, but they're definitely sort of at the beginning of an abyss, or, you know, having to guide their way through this destructive or turbulent waters, so to speak. And then the last card, the last deck that I want to compare this to is the Pagan deck. Now, this deck is way more, it's more symbolic and pagan structure, and it also compares to like modern life, and it compares the tower to like relationships. So like probably like sexual affairs or having, you know, relationship destruction, and it compares it in that regard. Doesn't mean that when that card comes up, it's always about a relationship or an affair or a destruction of a relationship. But because that's the symbolisms that are used, you sort of have to draw from the symbolisms to know that it's about something being destructive, some, big change that's happening. Another example that I want to give is the Death card. Now, the reason why I started with these cards specifically is because the Tower card is one of the most commonly recognized cards in the deck. When people usually have a very influential impression of tarot, it's because of either the Tower card or the Death card. Now, the Death card I chose to represent as an example as well, because many people are afraid of the Death card when it doesn't actually mean mortality itself. It sort of means in order for something to end, something new is to begin. And it uses the symbolisms of death to explain that, because in order for us to move on to the next life, this life has to end. Now, you can see how, even though these decks follow a very similar structure, they have very different opinions of what the Death card should look like and how it's represented, even though it has the same meanings and symbology. You can see that the person, the skeleton is riding the horse, where in this case, the skeleton is holding the scythe. And then in terms of the children's deck, the Death card is about change. It's about acceptance. It's about memory, which is very much like death. The Death card represents something to end for something new to begin. It's about a drastic change or a big change happening. And so that's what the card really is represented in this. It's no longer about death, it's about the change. Same symbolisms, just slightly different message. In terms of this deck, this is the Otherkin tarot deck. And this is the Death card of the Otherkin tarot deck. So again, focusing right on that symbolisms of mortality, of something end for something new to begin. Now, the Zen deck is quite different. In terms of death, I think it would rather look at it as a transformation. Again, really focusing on the change that's happening and the symbolisms of the change, not so much using mortality as a reference. And then this is my Pagan Witch's Wisdom deck, and the Death card is represented more about rebirth. It's focusing not so much on the end, but on the beginning of something new. Same symbolisms, same drawing on the same, tarot structure, but from a different perspective. So instead of looking at it from the approaching this massive change, it's almost like you already went through the change and you're going through a rebirth. And then in terms of the Pagan deck, it looks at it in terms of a initiation or ritual. So death, meaning that you're moving away from something into something new, is the same way that you would have like a ritual or an initiation or when you devote yourself. You're letting go of your previous self and moving on to your new beginning. Again, same symbolisms, just very different ways of expressing that same thought. And so the other way that just one more card that I wanted to go through to show you is the Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups always most likely represents like a positive communication. 3 in numerology is like communication in itself. Cups represent emotion, and so usually with emotional communication, it's something to be celebrated. And you can see here, it's almost like 3 friends getting together having a party. You can see that same symbolisms in the Morgan Greer deck as well. Sort of just the 3 friends getting together, talking over their glasses of wine or just their cups of emotion. And same symbolisms in terms of the children's deck as well. 3 friends getting together, enjoying themselves. Positive communication. Now, in terms of the Otherkin deck, they have a very different approach. The artist and author of this deck has a very different approach to the positive communication, and it's in terms of harmoniously swimming together as three fish. Again, similar to it's that same kind of communication, working together harmoniously, going around together, for me, really speaks to that communication aspect. And then in the Zen deck, it's that they're focusing right on that celebration. These are three women in the rain. The weather's not bothering them. They're just happy to be together and celebrate whatever they're celebrating. Now, in the Witch's Wisdom deck, it takes this into a completely different area. I mean, this is the Three of Water, which is the same message as the Three of Cups. And it's really about those positive messages. And the reason why this is about positive messages is you have to look for the pattern in the number. So we're looking for the number 3, and you can see 3 white geese or birds, maybe possibly swans, perhaps, taking shelter under a willow tree. It's very foggy. It looks like a very gray day out. And so they are taking shelter, and it looks like there was they communicated the safe place, like this was the safe place to go. It's almost like finding grounding or structure in the presence of others. And then in terms of the pagan deck, it's about that celebration, 3 women, probably friends or family or sisters, perhaps, going out for dinner, just having that good time. And that's really the symbolisms that are meant and all of these draw right back from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So the Smith art. So I hope that made sense. If there are any questions about the differences in tarot decks, the reason why I chose this as a tarot topic to discuss and go through was because I actually had someone submit a question to me about the different decks that I use. And because so many of them are tarot and so many of them are oracle, what's the differences between them? Why use so many of the decks? And so that's why the different decks will give you a slightly different interpretation or a different perspective. And depending on what you use those decks for, the relationship that you have with that deck that's been created as you worked with it will give you the slight different associations with that deck. Sometimes the artist of the decks will have certain intentions involved in when the decks are created. And so you can really see and feel some of that intention in the decks. Now, I can just give you a quick example of an oracle deck that I'll use this one actually. So this is my Elements deck. It's an oracle deck. It does not have a tarot structure. And the reason being is each card just has an image that you read intuitively and a word. And that's all that it's based on, is a word and the image and a number at the top, because they're numbered from 1 to however many cards are in the deck usually. And so you're really relying on the guidance of the deck and your intuition to read oracle decks. They're just for oracles, which is why they're called oracle decks. The tarot decks all have a tarot structure. They have 4 suits. The suits each have different meanings to them, each relating to the messages in the cards, and way more structured, way more in-depth in terms of the messages that you can receive from tarot. What I like to do is mix tarot with oracle because I'm a trans-dimensional reader. So I will often, as you've seen, and if you've been to previous live recordings or broadcasts, I will often use oracle decks to expand on tarot readings. So thank you for listening and sitting through my tarot topic. I don't know if it was a boring topic this time. I am looking forward to next month's topic when I talk about some conjoint readings, and sometimes those conjoint readings can include spirit in my work in mediumship. And I do have decks specifically that I use for mediumship. So I'll be able to give a little sample or example of the way that I work with those cards. So thank you for waiting. Thank you, Jay. I see that you're still there and I am ready to continue. I'm just going to find places for all my tarot cards here. I have so many of them today. So Jay, normally I start with my Rider Wyatt Smith deck. This is the longest deck I've had, and the longest relationship I've had with a tarot deck. It was actually given to me when I was 12 years old. I've slowly built up my skills of tarot reading on this deck, and then when I was very confident, I moved to other decks. So I'm going to do a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's going to tell me just where you're sitting at energetically, and then I'm going to move to this deck, and that's when I'm going to apply your question. Okay, now I'll have to scroll back up to see your question, unless, yeah, I'll just quickly scroll up here. Sorry, I'll just take a moment. Yeah. Okay, so you're hoping for like an answer to a very specific question. So I'm going to try and get the best answer I can. I'm going to focus on your impression pull first. Okay, Jay, so the card that I got for you is the 4 of Wands. This card often comes out for somebody who has a lot of structure in their home. I like to call this the happy home card, just because it's really about taking action to create stability in your home and in your household or in your family. Wands represent actions. 4 in numerology is foundation, like structure. And so that's where I get that message from, is that it's about taking action to create structure, and it affects your home and your home life. So I think that's a great place to be for you, given your question. You had mentioned in the chat your girlfriend, whether she's having a boy or a girl, correct? I see. That's the structure of my family, actually. I have 3 boys and a girl, my own children, so I know where you're coming from. So, Jay, I'm going to charge this deck with your question. I'm going to pull 3 cards, and what we're going to do is look for the messages in the cards relating to your question. Now, tarot is not so good at... absolutely, I see your question there. It is a free reading. I am doing free readings tonight. There's no charge for these readings. I just really appreciate people coming and joining me on my live, and so I offer out short readings to anyone who's interested. Thank you, Abdul, for that question. So if you're interested, Abdul, I can add you next. You'd be 4th on the list after Sheila. So right now I'm just talking with Jay, and Jay, I'm going to pull 3 cards from this deck, just focusing on your question. Now, what I was trying to explain was that tarot is not the best at giving you the exact answer. So if you ask a yes or no question, for example, or in your case, boy or girl, what the deck is really good at is guiding you towards the yes or towards the no. It sort of allows you to work it out within you and bring the answers out on the surface from within you. And so that's what I'm going to be asking the deck to do. I'm going to be getting that sort of pull from you and your energy, and in hopes that will give us a clearer impression of your girlfriend's, whether she's carrying a boy or girl. Now, I have done this kind of reading before, and it may need to be expanded on a little further, so I'll wait and see how the reading comes out, just because, like I said, when it's very specific, tarot has a way of sort of giving you the outline and not the inner details. I'm going to cut the deck 3 times, so 1 more. Okay, Jay, the 3 that came out is really interesting for you, and I will hold them up. But what's really fascinating is that there are 2 wand cards and a pentacle. And so wands represent sort of actions that need to be taken, and pentacles are sort of our needs, like health and finance. And so these are the cards that came out here. And I'll talk about them. The first card is the 7 of Pentacles reversed. And what this is really saying is that there's, like waiting for your results. Normally the card looks like this, and it represents sowing your seeds, being like a farmer and sowing your seeds and planting and taking care and nurturing the plant, and it grows and develops, and then eventually it forms flowers, and the flowers turn to fruit. And all that time, there's all that work that goes into taking care of it. And so you have to put in all that work to reap the reward later, right? The reward in terms of the symbolism of the card is to be the farmer and harvest the fruit. What it's really saying, when it's reversed, it doesn't mean that that's not the process you're in. It just means that there could be a further wait. You may not reap the reward of your harvest. And because your question was about whether this was a boy or a girl, I'm really rooting for you that it's a girl, Jay. I really am. But the cards are kind of suggesting that, you may not reap that reward. So moving on into the reading, the 3 of Wands. This is about choices and deciding what actions you move forward and which ones you leave behind. And what that tells me, Jay, is that this is probably on your mind where you're in that process of, what thoughts do you bring with you? What thoughts do you leave behind? What do you let go of? I could see that taking place in terms of, is this a boy? Is this a girl? How do I move forward with this? What do I leave behind? What do I let go of? In terms of the next card, which is the Knight of Rods, this is taking action based on action. Knights are like the action takers in the court of tarot. And as I mentioned before, wands are action. So this is like forceful, strong action. Well, not forceful, but meaningful, like very important action to be taken. And I really think that you need to maybe come to terms with the fact that this may not go the way that you're hoping. I'm just reading the messages. I see messages up here. Just thinks it's not a girl. She just wants her girl ready. I can totally understand where your girlfriend's coming from, Jay. I really do. And I really hope that it all works out for you in terms of what you need. Now, the way that the cards are expressing this, perhaps it's connecting with what your girlfriend's impression or her, as you said, she thinks it's not a girl, and that's what the cards are. This card really, though, stands out to me that you're not going to reap the reward of your question. So keep that in mind, I know that, with a birth of a baby, it's loved no matter, whether it's a boy or girl. I just get that sense from you, Jay, when I connect with you. I really get the sense that this isn't like a make or break decision. It's really about just acceptance, comfort level, knowing how to move forward. If that makes sense to you, that's the impression I get. So let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. And I'd like to expand on this with just one more card pull from my Sacred Destiny deck. This deck is really great at pinpointing the portion of life path that you're on. And given your question is so imperative to your life moving forward, I just thought that one card pull from this deck would help expand on this reading. And what it's going to do is the card's going to express or explain the portion of life path that you're on in terms of this question in this reading. And sometimes when we see that and we know the life portion that we're on, it can make more sense as to why that's going on. So I'm just going to split the deck 3 times. And for you, Jay, of course, no surprise, the love card. So the portion of life path that you're on is really about expanding your love, the lessons in love of life, learning those lessons. And obviously it's not just about relationships. It can be about family. It can even be about like hobbies, like things that you love for yourself. But given the question of your reading and the way that your reading has gone, Jay, I really think that it's more about family, extending your love, and just, that's part of your life path. You're having these children for a reason. Do you have any questions about that, Jay, before I put the cards away? And then I'll move on to Tara. Tara, if you're there, just let me know. Just give a moment, because sometimes the messages are a little delayed when they come up. I should have mentioned that if I seem to be like staring off at the screen and you've answered a question or you've posted something and I'm not cluing in, or I look a little clued out, it's just because it hasn't shown up yet on my end. Sometimes they get a little delayed. Oh, hello, Eve. Hello from Australia. I'll add you to the list for sure. I am just doing Tara next, and then Sheila, and then Abdul, and then I'll do you, Eve. So you are 4th next in the list. Hi, Tara. Thanks for confirming. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for joining. I'm giving free intuitive readings. If you're interested, I can add you to the list. Right now I have 4 people to go. So just let me know, Lindsay, if you're interested. So Tara. So thank you, Jay. I'm going to put your cards away and just shuffle and thank my decks. And then Tara, I'm going to do a similar reading where I'll do a 1-card impression pull from that deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're at energetically in the moment. And then I'm going to move to this deck, and that's when you'll have an opportunity to give me a question to focus on, or a topic, or you can just leave it general. Quite often when readings are left general, the messages that need to be heard come up anyways. So just let me know how you'd like to proceed with that, okay, Tara? And Tara, I'm just connecting with you intuitively while I shuffle this deck. And then I will pull 1 card. I feel like I should stop now, so I'm just going to start cutting. One more time. And for you, Tara, I get the 2 of Cups reversed. Now, this can often mean a struggle in a partnership. Oh my gosh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. So Tara, when the card normally comes out like this, it can mean like a partnership or bringing attention to some sort of partnership. And cups are emotion. So this is like an emotional partnership. Doesn't necessarily have to mean like relationship or spouse partnership or girlfriend, boyfriend or anything like that. It can just mean like any kind of relationship or partnership. So if you teamed up with someone, or you met someone at work, or perhaps you made a deal with someone. When it's reversed like this, it can often mean that there's a disruption to a partnership, or that the partnership may be on odds, or that it may be going through some turmoil. So let me know if that relates, if you feel like that is connected to the energy that you're sitting in. And a general reading, I'm just going to pull 3 cards for your general reading, and then I'll just connect the cards together to see the message, and we'll go from there. Okay, thank you for letting me know that, Tara. 1, 2. Now, the first card that comes out, I flipped it over. It was a higher arcana card, and I will take out 2 more cards, but this is really important to focus on right from the beginning. It's the Wheel of Fortune card. And quite often, this card can mean that there's luck in the future. Like if you just wait it out, or take the patience, take the time, you're going to need patience according to this card. The next card that came out is the King of Rods. It did not come out reversed. It looks like this. And the King of Rods is usually when someone has a big decision to make. And the decision is like an action that needs to be chosen. Then the next card that came out is the Seven of Swords reversed. Okay, so the card looks like this in the way that it came out. And what it's really representing, Tara, is that you are like you don't need to feel like someone's going to take something from you. Like no one's going to be stealing intellectually from you. Swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect. You can tell from the image of the card that this person's kind of picked up some of the swords and walking away and discreetly because they're shadowed and left some behind. When it's reversed like this, it doesn't mean that you're not in that process of, you know, back and forth, but you don't need to worry that it's being taken from you. That's what the card means when it comes out like this in this kind of reading. I think you can stand your ground in whatever this means for you. Let me know if that makes sense. When I look at these three cards together, Tara, what I really see is that there's patience needed. There's this strong decision of action, and not to be hard on yourself. I really think that you need to be careful putting too much on your mind in terms of the way that these three cards have come out. You're very welcome. I'm glad that that makes sense. Do you have any other questions about this reading, Tara? So if you were wondering this and it came out in the reading, I would go with that. Go with your impression of the reading and allow that insight to guide you and help you move forward. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tara. Okay, Sheila. Are you there? Let me know that you're there and that you're ready to receive your reading. Hi, Sheila. Thanks for letting me know. So I'm going to start with a one-card pull from this deck. And as I said, it's going to be the same kind of reading where this will be an impression pull, just letting me know where you're at energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to this deck, and that's when I'll focus on your topic or question. So you can let me know what your topic or question is, and I'll pull out your impression pull here. Or you can leave it general, like we did in the last reading. Quite often, like I said, general readings, just the messages that need to be heard come out. So a lot of times, some people have asked me, I have more than one question, or how do I choose what I want to ask? And really, if you're in that predicament where you have to, you can't decide, do a general, because the more important issues are going to be brought out of the cards, and that could be more helpful than narrowing in on one of them. General reading, perfect. Okay, I'll do that for you, Sheila. So this is just an impression pull. When I intuitively feel like I should stop, that's when I know they're in the right order, like now. So I'm going to cut the deck once. And for you, Sheila, I get the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Quite often, the Queen of Pentacles comes up for somebody who's really making a lot of financial decisions or health decisions. For you, Sheila, I get the sense that this is more about finances, just from the way that the card has come out. And when it's reversed like this, it doesn't mean that you don't have those decisions to make, but that you may be missing some information that's going to help you make those decisions. If you can find that missing piece or that missing information or whatever is going to help you move forward in making these decisions, then this card's going to flip around and you're going to be like making those decisions about finances. But in the meantime, you may need more information, or there could be something that needs to happen first for you to make that decision, or like there's something that's going to need to be resolved for you to flip the card around and sit in that throne like the Queen of Pentacles and make those decisions are in the best interest of health or finances. As I said, I really get the sense that this is more about finances than health for you, and because it's reversed, it's telling me that there could be something that's going to help you to make that decision. So just keep watch for that. you may be in for that information to make that decision. So I'm just focusing on your question and your reading from the beginning, Sheila, while I shuffle the deck and ask the cards to go into the right order for your reading. And this is a general reading, so I will do a 3-card pull, and then we'll relate the cards to themselves to get that message. So the first card that came out is the King of Rods reversed. Similar to the last reading. What this means is, just like the Queen of Pentacles making these decisions about finances, when it's reversed, having trouble, something stopping you from making that decision, or something that has to be resolved first, it's the same with the King. Only rods represent the change or the action that needs to happen. And so I have a feeling these two cards are going to flip around at the same time. Right now, you're in this position of feeling like you can't make that financial decision yet. And then the reading is about not being able to decide the action yet. Again, once you resolve what's in the way for you to make that decision, that card's going to flip around and you're going to be making that choice of action. Now, we also got the reversed Wheel of Fortune, and I don't believe in coincidences in tarot. And so what this is really saying for you, Sheila, is that you may not have to wait. There may not be a waiting on this. This is going to be more sudden for you. I get the sense that it's just going to take... It probably already has taken time. There already has been a process moving up to now, or leading up to now. That's the sense I get from these two cards being together. And then the last card that came out is the 10 of Wands reversed. And so when the card normally looks like this, it can represent sort of having too much to do. You can see that this person's overwhelmed by the amount of wands that they're carrying, and wands represent actions that need to be taken. When it's reversed like this, it can mean that you've relieved these actions that you may have, and this is where I also get another sense of, that a lot of this may have already been accomplished for you leading up to these decisions that need to be made. Is that you're in the process of relieving these. You're not overwhelmed by this. You're lifting up the amount of sticks that you're holding. So you're getting through the action. So either with this card being reversed, it either means that you are resolving those actions, like you're getting through them, getting them done, or you're eliminating them. You're like removing them from the list. Either way, they're not needing to be done anymore. And it's not going to be this burden that you have to carry. When I look at these three cards together, given where you're sitting now, all three cards are reversed. And so what that tells me is that this is not an easy decision. This is not an easy path for you to be on. There could be a lot of challenges involved. Excuse me. So just know that I really feel like if you just take your time and find the missing piece that will help you make those decisions to move forward, that's really going to make this a lot easier. If you can flip some of these cards around, for example, making the decision, deciding the change or the action that you need to take is going to flip the king around, and because it was reversed, it's going to flip the king around, and you're going to be able to sit on that throne and make that decision. I just feel like some of this has already happened. I get this strong sense for you, Sheila, that some of what the cards are talking about is in the past, leading up to now. So there's this when you're in this, that being said, and you're in this position now, just know that I think you might be able to gather up some of the details that you need from looking back at the past. So looking back at what you've already been through, the answers may be in there for you to then move forward and make that decision. Does that make sense for you, Sheila? Let me know if you have any questions about the way this reading has come out. I'm wondering, given that it's a question of where you're sort of like these decisions financially that are being made, I wonder if I can pull a quick card just to expand on that a little further. I'd like to look at it in terms of needs. So the heart chakra deck. It makes perfect sense. Okay, thank you for that feedback, Sheila. I really appreciate that. So I'm just going to do, based on that, I'm going to do a 1-card impression pull from this deck. And this is sort of asking for advice. So the impression of the situation and getting advice on it to move forward. I really think that may be helpful, given that this reading, I'm glad that it connects with what's happening for you, but it doesn't give you a lot of direction to move forward. And so, so that just flipped over. I don't know if you noticed that. And I don't believe in coincidences with tarot. And the card that flipped out is the Flow card reversed. This is the 10th higher arcana card in this deck. And what it really represents is sort of like, going with the flow. When it's reversed like this, what it really means is that you're creating your own direction. You're not just going with the flow. You are the flow. Like you could be going against the flow. You could be going across the river, like however analogy you want to look at it, you're doing this your way. And that's what this is really saying. And because I asked this deck for advice, I really feel like that's the advice, is that it's good advice for you to do it your own way. So if you feel like you're doing this the way that you feel like you need to do it, and you're maybe not listening to the people around you, or that you feel like you may be just guiding yourself, that's the advice, is to don't go with the flow, go your own way. So just keep that in mind, that I think you may be on the right track. So thank you, Sheila, for letting me do your reading. I'm going to charge and put the cards away. I didn't see a question from you, so I'm going to continue on. So I'm going to do Abdul next. Abdul, are you still on the call? If you could just let me know quickly, and if you have a question or topic you'd like me to focus on. Otherwise, I could do like a general reading. Hi, Cynthia. Nice to see you. Okay. Okay, so as I explained, Abdul, when there's more than one question to ask, it may be best to leave the reading general and see how the reading comes out, and then we can relate that to which question is appearing in the answers. Does that make sense, Abdul, for you? So I'm going to just start with your 1-card impression pull from the first deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to this deck, and that's when I'll focus on your question. And what I'll do is I think it would be best to do a general 3-card pull and see the messages, what messages come out, and then relate that to your questions to see how that's answered. So for you, Abdul, we have the 10 of Wands. We saw this in the Morgan Greer deck, and this is from the Rider-Waite deck. And it's really talking about the amount that's on your shoulders right now, the amount that you need to do. This could be an overwhelm with the amount of tasks that you may have, or things that need to get done. Wands represent actions, and 10 is like when we get to the final end and it sort of restarts, or there's this developmental like a soul development in regards to the 10 in numerology. And so because it's either 10 or it breaks down back to a 1. And I feel like for you, Abdul, is that you're on this path of development, and you're just like, you have so much to do and so much to go towards for yourself that it may feel overwhelming. Now, just know, Abdul, that when this card comes out, it often means that the person is working through all of the things that need to get done. So try not to be overwhelmed, and know that you will get through it. I can definitely understand why you'd feel like this in your position now, given your questions. So I'm going to focus on your questions now. That card popped out, and so I'm going to go with that as our first card. Just going to cut the deck 3 times. Okay, so this is a really important reading, Abdul, because all of these 3 cards that came out are higher arcana cards. Higher arcanas in the tarot are like the more important messages. Not that any message isn't important, but these are like when tarot hammers home messages, it's from higher arcana cards, okay? The first card that came out is the Empress card. And so this is really about stepping into your power, so, finding your intuition. When you think about like feminine energy, or having a connection with yourself in terms of balance, this card can mean one of 2 things when it comes out. It can often mean that sort of like stepping into your power, sort of sitting into yourself, finding yourself and doing what's best for you. Or it can also sometimes point to a feminine role model or a motherly figure in our lives. For you, I get the sense that there's a bit of both happening here for you, Abdul. Let me know if that makes sense to you. But I really feel like you can sit in this position. You can like own it. You can be in your power and guide yourself forward. But there's also this like the motherly influence, and it doesn't have to be like a birth mother, or it can be like anyone who you'd have that sort of caring relationship with, somebody who would care for you or look over for you or look after you. Let me know how that's involved. The next card that came out is the Sun card, and this card is all about power and healing and masculine energy. And so I really find that this is a great combination for you with this feminine and masculine side by side. It just speaks to this balance. I really feel like you're in the process of a balance, making a balance for yourself. And then the last card is the Devil card reversed. Now, don't fret. The Devil card doesn't mean like the Christian devil or evil. What it really means is like an adversary, okay? And when it's reversed like this, it can mean that you've defeated that adversary. If it was like this, I would suggest that adversary is getting in the way, that there's an adversary that you're going to need to come up against. When it's reversed like this, it's defeated or avoided. Now, given your questions, when I look back at your questions, Abdul, and you asked about, your translocation and your financial state, I really get the sense that this is more talking about your first question, because there's this adversary that's been defeated. And it's about healing and stepping into your power. And those are positive messages to move forward on, my friend. And I just feel like that speaks well to your situation when you leave Manila. Does that make sense for you? I can totally understand why you'd feel like this in your position with this happening. These are very powerful messages that have come out in your reading, Abdul. And I just think that you should own it. I really think you need to step into your power and just do what you can for yourself. And you've either avoided or defeated this obstacle or this adversary. And if you look at your visa in terms of the obstacle, and you avoided the adversary, or you've defeated the adversary, and there's healing in this, you know, in your power, and go with your flow, I just think that speaks highly for your reading. Do you have any questions, Abdul, before I put these cards away? Now, the messages are sometimes slow coming up, so I hope I'm not missing any messages or anyone who may be interested. Excuse me. I do have Eve on the list next. If anyone else is interested to receive a reading, if you've told me interested and I haven't mentioned you on the list, please let me know again. I may have missed your saying that you were interested. You're very welcome, Abdul. I hope that was helpful. You're welcome. Thank you for that feedback. So if anyone else is interested to receive a reading, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll be moving on to Eve. Eve, if you're on the call, if you could let me know that you're there, and if you could think of a question or topic you'd like to focus on for your reading. Otherwise, just we can leave it general. I'm just going to see if I did miss any. Hi, Eve. No worries. Is there anyone else who'd be interested in a reading? While Eve will be back in just a minute, I could start with the next person if there's someone else who's interested, and then I could move back to Eve. No, I'm not seeing the messages come up again. I'm just scrolling back to see if I missed anyone. I don't think I did, but if anyone has reached out or said that they would like a reading and they did not get a chance to, please just reach out to me in private messaging or email or my Facebook or on my website. Or even my phone number, 519-835-1749. It is a mobile number that I use for my business. And I also receive text messages, so another way to get a hold of me. So I'm just waiting for Eve to return. I think she just needed to leave for a minute. She said she'd be back in a minute. If there is there, I'm wondering, maybe I'll do a little quick short reading for myself. See how well I'm doing tonight. Oop. And of course, as soon as I charged with that energy, one card just pops out right away. And the card that came out is the Four of Cups. And what this really says to me is that I can stop saying what if in this reading, this recording of readings. I'm not so worried about, if it was this way, I'd be like, what if? Like I may be worried that I may not be doing so well, or what if I did better, or what if I chose different routes, or what if I gave the right messages, but I'm not doing that. I'm in my zone. I'm saying, like, you know, I'm not worried about what if. I'm just handing it, owning it. Basically, that's what that card's saying to me. Hi, Eve. Welcome back. Thanks for letting me know that you're here. Oh, no worries. You know, I totally understand, disruptions happen all the time. So, Eve, I'll get started. I just cleansed my deck, and I'm just going to do a one-card impression pull from this deck, and that's going to tell me where you're at energetically. And then if you could let me know what your question or topic is, I'll focus on that with that deck moving forward. Or you can leave it general, because like I've mentioned several times tonight, quite often when we leave it general, the messages that are important or need to be heard come out in the cards anyways. But sometimes it can be good to narrow it down. So for you, Eve, coincidentally, we were talking about this card earlier in our Tarot Talk discussion. It's the Three of Cups. So for you, Eve, I get the sense that this is like you have something you can celebrate, or that there's this communication happening. Perhaps you're getting together with someone you haven't seen for a while, or there's this like communication, positive communication that's moving forward. It's definitely positive, and I feel like it's something you can be proud of. I don't know why I get that sense, but the cup in the middle really stands out for me in this particular reading, and that for me it's almost like holding a trophy high up, and I just feel like that there's something in this communication that you can be proud of. If the card was reversed like this, it would mean like not so nice communication, so like rumors or spreading gossip. But when it's not reversed and it's sitting the way it should like this, Eve, it's the opposite of that. It's like positive, it's good news. It's either getting together with friends or people you haven't seen for a while, or there's good news spreading or good things to say. And because that's the position that you're sitting in, I just feel like you're probably proud, or there's something through your art. Oh, that's very interesting. So definitely pride involved. I mean, you should be proud of your art and that trophy symbol of something that you've done. I just connect it with that. That's very cool. So did you want to leave your reading general, or did you have a specific topic or question you wanted me to focus on? Sorry, I didn't catch that. I'm just waiting to see Eve's response. If you've already said it and it just hasn't popped up yet, I apologize. There is sometimes a delay in the way the messages show up for me during the live broadcasts. I see. Okay, so I'll focus on that move, and what I'll do, Eve, for you is I'll do a 3-card pull from this deck, and we'll just get an impression of your question, and then I think it may be appropriate to expand further using another deck. Sure, absolutely. So I will focus on that. I will ask the cards for a way through grief, through your grief. I can totally understand where you may be coming from, and I'm going to charge the cards appropriately with your question, and then I will still do a 3-card extension on this reading. I feel like the cards are in place, so I'm just going to cut them 3 times. So the 3 cards that came out for you, Eve, and I'll go through them, but I just want to show you. Okay. The first card that came up is the Page of Cups. Now, this card often comes up for like lightening up, finding the humor in a situation, being silly, not taking things so seriously. And so I really feel like that's an important message for you here, is that you may need to find the fun. You may need to, be silly again, be immature. When it's reversed, it can mean like not taking the immaturity, or being very serious, or getting down to task. But for you, it's that opposite. It's this like, you should be silly. There's a humor that you can approach this with, to make yourself be in the right mindset, right? And then the next card that came out is the 6 of Cups. Now, this is the card of childhood memories. This is the card of like looking back at our memories and where our memories help us. And so I really feel like for you, Eve, a lot of that getting through your grief could be to work out through your memories that you have. Really looking back, there could be something in your past that you could think about that would help you now. And then the last card that came out is the Eight of Wands reversed. And what this card can often mean is like, it's a sense of overwhelm. Like everything that you have to do has just been thrown up in the air and it's all just going to land where it needs to. And you just have to do the tasks as they land. And you're not really in control of the situation. You're not really in control of what order things land in. You just have to sort of go with it. And that can be a challenge. That can be a struggle. With these three cards together, Eve, I really feel like because the topic focused on for your reading was a path to get through the grief that you're experiencing, find the humor, don't be so hard on yourself. With the Page of Cups, be sensitive to yourself and approach things with a sense of humor or with some fun or some silliness. Look back at those childhood memories and those precious moments. There could be something in there that will help you. And try not to be overwhelmed, that this is a process. And once you start eliminating those tasks, no more is going to fall. Okay? Does that make sense for you? Do you have questions about that, Eve? That's beautiful, what you just shared there, Eve. That's beautiful. I'm just reading here. Yeah. I think the deck that's going to help is the Heart Chakra deck. It's the deck that I used earlier for a different reading, but I feel like it would be helpful for you as well, Eve, because it's really good at talking from a perspective of what we need in terms of like from a heart chakra perspective. And so I'm going to pull three cards from this deck with advice for you to move forward in finding the in working through the process of your grief. Now, one of the things that I notice about the cards, Eve, is when I connected with you, the cards just like are so smooth and so free-flowing. I really feel like it speaks in terms of your energy, because I'm connecting with your energy as I'm shuffling the cards. And sometimes I can tell certain things, like when cards are rigid or don't go together, it can mean certain things, or if cards are shuffling a certain way, it can mean certain things. And for me, when there's this flow in the shuffle and it's just all coming together and like perfectly aligning the cards together as they come together, it just speaks to me that that could be how you're approaching this, that you're your best ally in this. You're probably your biggest support in this. So the three cards that I get, and they're all reversed, but that doesn't mean bad. I'm going to show you what they are, and then I'm going to go through them. Now, these are important messages because two of them are higher arcana cards, and one of them is an emotional card. And I'm going to start there. The emotional card is the Seven of Emotion, and it's choosing your battles reversed. Okay, so what this is really saying is that you don't need to choose your battles. I think you have a battle ahead that you need to take on, and that's really what this is saying, is take on the grief. Don't put it on the back burner. Don't decide between your grief in dealing with it. It's don't choose your battle, like take on that battle. Okay. Then comes the two higher arcana, which is the Listen card, and it's reversed. Normally the card looks like this, and it would mean that you need to listen. Like you may not be accepting what others are saying, you need to listen. When it's reversed, which is the way it came out for you, Eve, it's basically saying the opposite of that. Trust yourself. Don't listen to people around you on how to deal with your grief, because that was the topic of this question, or this reading. Don't listen to other people around you. Focus on you. Listen to yourself. Make sure that you're confirming for you what you need. Okay, and then the last card that came out is the 11th Higher Arcana card in this deck, and it's the detached card reversed. And what this is really saying to me is not to detach. Don't feel like that your loss that you're going through means that you've actually lost. You know, like, don't detach. And I really see this this being repeated in your reading in terms of the detached, and look back towards your memories, right? Hold on to your memories. Don't let them go. You know, listen to yourself. Page of Cups, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. Approach this with a more sense of silliness and humor. That could be more speaking towards your personality. And then choosing your battles, you know, when those tasks are landing all around you, you have to choose what you do, what you take on, what you don't. I just see this as being confirmation in this reading, that I think you're on the right track, Eve, that grief is never easy. It's never an easy process to go through. But I do see it does appear as progress. So I hope that was helpful for you, Eve. I see your messages here. Yeah. So that makes sense for me. And it feels like that's where you're needing to be right now. Just keep in mind, Eve, that you mentioned that you're always looking for signs and connecting with your daughter. Quite often, because I do mediumship as well, and sometimes there are these signs that get put in front of us. Maybe that's what you're referring to, like synchronistic messages. Just keep watch for that. Sometimes it can be hard for us to accept or see those messages synchronistically happening in front of us when we're in the grieving process. So just keep that in mind, that as you deal with your grief, it may become a little easier for you, or more acknowledgeable for you to start to connect with and see those signs. Thank you, Eve. I really appreciate that feedback. I'm so glad that this was helpful. And I'm going to go back through my... Hi, Anna. Nice to meet you, too. In a reading on one specific career path. Perfect. Okay. Anna, I can do you next, because I just finished my last person on the list, which was Eve. And so I now am going to do a reading for Anna. And if anyone else is interested to receive a reading, just write interested or let me know in the chat. Whoop. So, Anna, interestingly enough, as soon as I started to discharge this deck, 2 cards popped out right away. And I feel like they're for Eve, because I was just discharging. I hadn't started charging yet with yours, Anna. And so I'm just going to acknowledge this for Eve. Eve, if you're still on the call, the 2 cards that came out are the Hermit card reversed and the Hangman reversed. And I feel like that these are 2 really important messages, that you don't have to do this yourself, that you're not alone in this. Don't feel like you're alone. If it was this way, I would suggest that you would be doing this all yourself and that it was all on you, but it's reversed. So just keep that in mind. And then the Hangman reverse. A lot of times this can be like when someone feels stuck. Just know that you're not stuck, that there is a way forward. You just need to find the way to move forward. Okay, and I feel like the way to do that is to not do this yourself. There could be some help or guidance if you reach out to the people around you. Okay, Eve? The reason why I feel like that message was for Eve was because as I was decharging Eve's energy from this deck, that's when they came out. So I'm just decharging and thanking the deck. Okay, now, Anna, I'm going to start to charge your energy in the deck, and I'm going to do a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're at energetically and in the moment, and then I'm going to do your reading with this deck. And you had mentioned you're interested in a general reading or one specific to career path. So what I could suggest is I'll do a general reading and then see if it relates to a career path. Does that make sense? That way, if there's any other messages that may be important to come out, you can receive them instead of just focusing on that specific career path. So let me know what your thoughts and if that makes sense, Anna. Now, Anna, the way that the cards are shuffling, it's almost like you may be your worst enemy in the way that the reading is going, or the reading is about. So just keep that in mind. We'll see how that ties into the reading. But just the way they were shuffling, very rigid, and the cards were having trouble going together. And that's like a sign for me that the person that I'm reading for, either it means sometimes that can happen if the person that I'm reading for is skeptic. Or that they are their worst enemy in the reading. So what I mean by that is if a person said to me, oh, I want to apply to a new job, and that happens to them, I would right away say to them, they need to be maybe confident, maybe feel secure in applying for the right job, because you may be your worst enemy in doing that. So just keep that in mind. And the card that came out right away, it almost fell out when I was doing it, was the Judgment card. And this is in terms of where you're sitting energetically in the moment. So let me know if this makes sense to you, Anna. But I feel like the position that you're in the moment is, the Judgment card, that you're feeling this, there's a lot riding on your shoulders perhaps, or there's this feeling of it's on you, and there's this judgment involved, and you have to make the right choices, and you have to do it the right way, and this can be a I get the sense that it's like a nerve-wracking experience for you. Does that make sense? Okay, and then I'm going to do a general reading and see if it connects with the career path. Let me know how that feels for you, Anna. Resonates. Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, Anna, right away when I look at these cards, I get the sense that this is a little about career, and I'm going to talk about that mainly because of the card that came out, the Higher Arcana card, which is the Chariot card. And I'll get to that in a minute, because I want to go in the order that the cards came out, and that was the last card. But that card right away, it stands out for me that this is in terms of a career path, okay? The first card that came out is the Ten of Wands. We talked about this as being like having all those tasks on your shoulders, and that, you need to be careful not to be overwhelmed in this situation. That all of these wands represent actions to take, and this person has a whole lot of action that they're carrying that they need to fulfill. And that could be the space that you're feeling that you're in, okay? Or there could be a lot of tasks that you need to complete to move forward. The next card that came out is the Nine of Blades, or Nine of Swords. Now, a lot of times when this card comes out and it's reversed like this, it can mean swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect, and you can tell that these heavy thoughts are literally binding these hands together. When it's reversed like this, it can mean that you're in the process of relieving these heavy thoughts from your mind, and that if you could just cut these binds off, these heavy thoughts would no longer hold you back. So just know that as you process these heavy thoughts, these binds will become less and less. And the more you work through these heavy thoughts I get the sense that you're hard on yourself from this card, and that if you could just be not so hard on yourself, you wouldn't feel so blocked. Knowing that you can do it will allow you to try and do it. But if you say to yourself, oh, I can't even do that, why try? You're not even going to attempt it, or your attempt may not be full-fledged. So just keep that in mind. This also could be the reason why you may be sort of against yourself in this, perhaps, is that getting overwhelmed by the heavy thoughts or the pressure that you put on yourself. And then the Chariot card. I left this to the last for a reason, because, excuse me, not only was it the last card that came out, but also it's a very important message. Given that your question was about a career path, the Chariot is like getting on the go. You know, when you think of a chariot, the chariot is a driver. The driver is steering the mares. They have to fix broken wheels. They have to make sure they stay in the race. There's a lot involved to get from A to B. They have a goal in mind to achieve, and they're off to the races to achieve that goal. And so that's where I get the sense that this is like career path oriented for you. That, you're going to be off to the races. You're going to just get on the go. If you cannot be overwhelmed by the amount of tasks that are at hand, sorting out these heavy thoughts and not allowing yourself to hold yourself back, you will be off to the go and on to the races. I really feel like that even though the lower arcana cards are being expressed are really about overwhelm and struggling, I really feel like this is the process that needs to happen for you to get to here, to get on the go. If you can sort out what needs to happen and these heavy thoughts, you're off to the races, right? And when I bring it all back to the position that you're in now with this Judgment card, I could understand you feeling this way when there's a lot riding on this, and the amount that has to get done and these heavy thoughts. This is where I feel like you may be harder on yourself. This judgment and then these heavy thoughts that need to be lifted. If it's your own thoughts that need to be worked out, then you're being too hard on yourself. It could be your judgment that's getting in the way. If it's other people's thoughts, just know that you can only do what you can, and to sit in your power and be true to yourself. And you'll be able to work through those heavy thoughts. Don't let others influence you negatively. Does that make sense, Anna? When I look at this reading as a whole, you've got this like lower arcana cards being one reverse, one not. And I feel like that there's like, this could go either way for you, that there's this like balance that you need to work out. It's really helpful and eye-opening. Oh, good. Thank you for that feedback, Anna. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that this was helpful. You're very welcome. So I'll put these cards away. And that's all the names that I have on my list for free readings tonight. This is the last chance. If anyone's interested to receive a reading, a quick free reading, just let me know. I will watch for your message. Otherwise, I will be pulling back. I'll start bringing my energy down. I'm going to get prepared to sign off. I really want to thank everyone who's come to watch me tonight, and everyone who came to participate and receive free readings. If anyone did get missed, I really have to reiterate this, because it has happened in the past where messages just didn't come up during the broadcast, during the recording, and then when I watched it after, I saw the messages of asking. So if anyone has asked and I didn't get you, I will be reaching out to you. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to me, cut me to the chase, or beat me to it. feel free. And just keep in mind that I also give free short readings during with my free draw. Now, those readings are a little more comprehensive than these readings. These readings are very quick. They're on the spot, and I don't get a chance to interact where people can ask questions. And so you do get more out of the live one-on-one private readings than you do on the live broadcasted readings, because all I'm getting is a message, whereas I get to interact with you on Zoom if you get a remote reading. So that gives you the opportunity to ask questions in the moment, and as the reading is unfolding, you can then get perspectives and insight, and you also get to direct the reading in terms of, like, if a deck stands out for you, or if you would like to extend a little further, I can give you different options of extending it rather than me just choosing for you. There's just some other options that could be handy. So just keep that in mind. I'll be doing my next free draw on Monday, January 23rd. So as long as you just let me know before then, I will definitely include you. And all the information about my draw is on my website, staffordtarot.com. So thank you again so much for everyone coming and watching and receiving readings. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I'm always available. Text message 519-835-1749, email bryantarotreading@gmail.com, Facebook Bryan Tarot Reading, and my website is www.staffordtarot.com. So take good care, everybody, and my next live broadcast will be on Valentine's Day, Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, where I will be offering love readings and conjoint couple readings for anyone interested, as well as we will be discussing the tarot topic of conjoint readings involving mediumship. So thank you so much. I really hope that you found this interesting. Please feel free to reach out for me, and take care, and I hope all is well. Take care.